Hey YouTube, this is it. This is the big one. Actually, it's premature and something I wanted to leave until later. Something I hope to avoid by refraining from planning far in advance is an empty road system. But since being badgered to add more services on account of the pop increase a la desert proliferation, and anxious to introduce these services into the CBD gradually, for fear of too intricately corroborating the layout to later add a decent highway system without demolishing a majority of the work I put in, I decided on, caved into, planning the highways in advance. Very much succumbing to an empty road system in the process, though I will be doing everything in my power to have it utilised. I get the feeling some people won't be too fond of this. Road time, what on earth have you done to your quaint little island, is what they'd say if I had a viewer base. By the way, this is a whip, one that engendered a hefty death wave. Whoops. So let's us all just calm down. Everything's gonna be alright. Living on the edge. You saw it here first on Road Time. Planning the CBD. A stadium on the fringe will always characterise my CBDs, swimming centre another conspicuous site. The obtruding stadium is surrounded by roads supported by pillars to create an overhang effect as with the Egyptian temple, so that the Nile looks like it drains underneath, or at least that's the implication. The basketball stadium snuggles into the river bend, and with all these uni-related buildings, the actual uni follows suit, occupying both sides of the river, though it will only be accessible by dry bank. One more obtrusive uni addition with the medical school, leaving a significant amount of ore storage exposed. I start setting up roads to feed the CBD with interchange fodder, beginning with slum connection, which requires a hefty move it selection to make way along the canal. A gap in the pillars to imply tunnelling here. Then I try to imagine where roads will traverse the uni space, but there are too many variables left unmapped to confidently place any roads down here, so I am prompted to map one of them. Preparing the interchange. Starting with a bridge, as yet not fully connected, between Marsh Cove and Marsh Island, an interchange is born. Seeking to consolidate the plant and Marsh Cove with the inner CBD, along with the CBD bypass, and island traffic, of course. Get that walking track out of my sight. Much better. And finally, time to neaten the shabby riverside park, although much less remains designated as such than I had planned. The bypass curves through the basketball marquee, and I preliminarily mark a boulevard that extends the main beach coastline. Then I extend the main street toward the plant and the bypass, so a segment remains linear for the duration of a gap between existing perpendicular roads. The bypass meets another existing road further along, and another yet further before widening the approach to house another ramp, which overpasses the main street to join the highway, made to be more noodly as it snakes over the hillside. An off-ramp immediately spawns following bridge arrival, with a second proceeding in circular shape to underpass for connection at Outer Marsh Cove, and a simple ramp for the opposite direction. An exit to the bypass from the plant, with bridge traffic entering this way, and the street is widened. Main Street splits to house a ramp in the median, a whole bunch of stuff before its orientation is cemented as an entry, and bridge entering, overpass, through to bypass, with original overpass brought closer to Main Street. Pass. A ramp also utilises the median at the other end, originally a tunnel, to emerge as a curve catering for entry and exit on the other side, entry mimicked by a random connection to Inner Marsh Cove. Might as well chuck the suspension up. An epiphany. Tunnel is up, down, graded to sunken road. Bridge entering, overpass, offers a final exit before entering bypass, opposite direction offering just such entry, or access to a road sandwiching the bypass, that sandwiched now sunken, so Main Street offshoots can intersect. Pillars retaining here, and inner sandwiching lane continues to the bypass off-ramp, which has a slip lane added. And one last entry back here, trailing some skyscrapers. Oh yes. We all know bridges deserve to extend thusly, and thusly. Drybank utilises the mini 4-lane, having little room with the hill and all. Key it up, tracing the original road with lower terrace to preserve river homes. Also more uniformly paralleling the basketball arena, which creates some space for a park. Maybe. Explaining the interchange. Phew! Not sure that made any sense. Not sure this will either, but let me try give you some insight into the lore of the land. Or should I say lane? Starting from the main at-grade intersection in Marsh Cove, the declining median ramp feeds the CBD, but left turn is obstructed by the at-grade approach. Compensated by entry via quayside intersection, although this lacks the trajectory for the sandwiching road, so another entry is added opposite. Approaching at-grade traffic from the plant incurs the opposite problem, that is, being able to turn left with right turn obstructed. The fix being connection further into Marsh Cove by a preceding decline below grade. Traffic from the bridge can remain on the highway to bypass the CBD, bordered by a native street, one direction traversing each side. An example of the dynamic here is demonstrated by quayside occupants who U-turn onto the opposite highway off-ramp, where highway has right-of-way and does not otherwise interact with native connections. There is effectively another U-turn to make it back to the starting point. Just quickly while we're here, bypass entering CBD can go mya and return mya. And Drybank Bridge can enter the bypass rather than overturning at the main at-grade intersection, along, not importantly, with inconsequential plant traffic. Not important because most plant traffic can enter the bypass via main intersection without overturning. The corresponding exit takes us to the other sunken road, which also shares a path with traffic exiting the plant toward Marsh Island Bridge, setting up a circuit for corresponding entry traffic downstream, which shares the intersection with what is quite possibly the most superfluous connection to the bypass, given everyone could just as well take the native route. Soz, wish I could go into more depth. Strapped for time, you saw it here first on Road Time. Oh, it's cooking now. Smell that sizzle? About half the interchangey goodness completed for the CBD. Developing the street layout, trying to maintain some oldness, happy to be holding on to those river homes, or at least rebuilding them. And the big kahunas, loving slums at the fringe. The interchange here could quite possibly be large, like it's gonna be enormous. A lot to connect here. That's all, thanks for watching, and goodbye forever. To confidently place any roads down here.